The first significant Xbox update, it's here. The first significant update for your Xbox Series S and X, well, it's here. Microsoft is promising that they are going to continue to update the software, much like they have done with the Xbox One. And that's honestly really not that big of a surprise. Microsoft did a pretty good job with monthly updates coming to the Xbox One that slowly tweak things over the generations, the console's generation, adding new features, changing the UI, removing the UI, adding some ads sometimes, and just making things in their attempt better. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. And Microsoft is continuing that tradition with the Series S and X, and now we are learning about what's coming in the first major update. So let's just dive in here first. The first big thing, and this is really dumb, but I am honestly kind of excited about it, is that Microsoft is going to be releasing more dynamic backgrounds. If you are trying to customize your dashboard right now, you've got one option, and I hope you like it. But fortunately, there's going to be a bunch more coming, and we can see a little sampling here. Unfortunately, Microsoft didn't release a video showcasing all of these new features and updates, and honestly really just dynamic backgrounds is the only thing I wanted to know about. But yay, hey, we are going to be getting some new ones, and that is good because there's a lot of potential here with dynamic backgrounds, and Microsoft, I was hoping that might take a little bit more advantage of it, and it looks like they are, and so be on the lookout for those. And I am definitely going to be switching mine up. I'm currently using the only one right now, but it looks like there might be an Xbox 360 sort of inspired one with rings and everything else, and that is definitely where I am going to go. What would be awesome, and Microsoft, if you're listening, you should be doing this, is why can't we sync these things to our desktop, right? A lot of people are gaming on their PC, gaming on their console. Give us dynamic backgrounds on the PC, give them to us on our console, let us sync them so all of our gaming locations just kind of stay up to date, which would be kind of cool. The other thing Microsoft, or other things I should say, is Microsoft is making it easier to showcase which games are using auto HDR. Now, it's not super easy to figure this out right now, and so this is going to make it a little bit better, but if a game is using auto HDR, which is a feature that Microsoft built specifically for these next generation consoles, which effectively turns on HDR even if the title doesn't support it, using some fancy algorithms and maths and all that other good stuff. If you hit the guide button or the Xbox button, when it opens up, you will see auto HDR. So now you know if your game is using auto HDR. It really doesn't change a whole lot, but if you're kind of like me and you're kind of dumb in the head and you need big obvious signs that things are just slightly better, for example, when I turn on my TV with the Xbox, it's nice that it says HDR or Dolby Vision or 4K or whatever, or gaming mode. Like, it's nice to see those little pop-ups just to remind you that, hey, you're getting just a little bit better of an experience, and so be on the lookout for that. Microsoft is also adding optimized for Series X and S badges into your own games library. It was kind of sort of easy to find them in the store. You could, at one point, I believe you still can filter by titles that are optimized for X and S. And so now you're going to be able to see which games you already have in your library that are going to be, well, optimized for the X and S, which is a big deal as we're all, I don't want to say struggling for content, but looking for maybe old titles or just other games you can play, knowing that, hey, if you've paid $500 for an Xbox Series X, this title, even if you've already played it before, is going to take advantage of it. That is going to be a big benefit, and it's just again just a nice little thing to know. There's also updates to the achievement status in the game activity tab, just making it a little bit easier to understand where you are in a title. And this is a big one for people who are using the consoles with family members. It's now much easier to add family members during the setup process. Previously, you're not locked to, but you were confined to using the Xbox app on either iOS or Android. And so you would just kind of have to go through that process. Not the easiest thing in the world. And now you can do it directly on the console, especially if you're a parent who isn't, I want to say, up to date or, hip with it on the mobile devices, and you just want to do it on the stinking console. Now you can absolutely do that. Other things that are coming, and this one again is going to help people with limited bandwidth. Microsoft is making it easier to pre-install games that are coming soon with Game Pass. Game Pass is obviously a huge hit. Microsoft saying over 15 million subscribers, and obviously when you want to play a new game, for a lot of people, it could be challenging because, hey, you don't have fast internet, and you click download, and then you got to wait 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, 4 hours, however long until xCloud makes it instantaneous and lets you get a little sampling before you download the game locally. But just know that you will soon be able to pre-install games that are coming soon, and that is going to be helpful. And then Microsoft also reminds you that if you want to check out features early, you can try out the Insider program. Now, I don't know if I would tell everyone to jump into the Insider program. Take it with take it with a little pinch of salt. On the Windows PC, it's one thing because it's real easy to jump back and forth. On a locked ecosystem, it's a little bit harder to do that in the Microsoft world. Now, granted, because it is a locked ecosystem, things should be a little bit more stable and there shouldn't be sort of the crazy bugs. But at the same time, if you have limited bandwidth and you're already wondering about that, you're going to be downloading more updates in the background and things going on, which could make it a challenge. The other one, and this one impacts me more personally, is that when I sit down to game, I just want a game. I just want to play games. I don't want to tinker around with new features, or more importantly, I don't want to have a buggy console. And so that is why I personally do not keep my console in the Insider program. I had my One X in there for a while, and then they pushed a bad update and I couldn't play games and it kept logging me out. And I said, you know what? Maybe the Insider program just isn't for me. And so that is something you need to consider. I don't think that there's Insider updates ever for controllers. I've never heard of anybody's controller disconnecting or anything else like that. So you don't have to worry about it on that end. So if you like truly living on the bleeding edge, maybe console Insider program is for you. So this is a pretty significant update. I mean, significant in the terms of, hey, this is the first update that Microsoft is pushing down to the brand new consoles. Yes, there's going to be somebody in the comments down below, I guarantee you, but Brad, when I plugged my console in right away, we already had an update. And so this is technically the second or maybe even third. I don't even know how many there have been from those like bug fixes, initial updates. So technically I would say this is the first one post-launch. Maybe that is the more fair way to say it. And so they're adding some good updates here. The question is when are they going to keep pushing out more and more features and enhancements? That I'm not too sure about. And what I mean by like that are big installment updates that improve a lot of functionality. I don't know if we're going to be seeing that kind of an update here through the update process, if you know what I mean. Because previous generations, you get a new console and then there's a huge update and then the dashboard and everything is all new. Microsoft changed that model with the Xbox One where they were just iterative. And then the Xbox Series X was completely iterative throughout the Series Xbox One was iterative throughout its entire life cycle, and then I'm fully expecting that their Series S and X is going to be the same way. The biggest reason is I think Microsoft wants to keep it kind of familiar, but I was going to say fast and fluid, but I also think there's going to be some xCloud, some integrations here coming in the near future, and I'm sort of backtracking my own thought here, but I think some of those xCloud integrations will honestly be the next sort of like quote-unquote major update. Primarily because Microsoft is going to want to showcase how that is going to make your console so much better. The question is, when are those xCloud updates going to come? Phil Spencer in an interview a while ago said, hey, we got to look at priorities about bringing things elsewhere. We know that it's coming to the TV in 2021. We know that it's coming to iOS here in 2021 as well. And so we got to be on the lookout for that. But I also believe it is going to come to the console and the browser as well in the, I want to say near future, but I don't quite know if that's completely true, specifically meaning the console, not so much the browser, as Microsoft gears up to keep pushing those Game Pass numbers higher. And they're going to push them higher by putting more people into Ultimate. And I've gone off on a little bit of a tangent here. Anyways, you should be able to go out and grab this update here in the near-ish future. If it's not already on your console, just be on the lookout for some of these updates, especially those dynamic backgrounds, because that is the one that I am looking forward to.